It's a Minimalist Monday edition of Optimal Living Daily, episode 276, Set Your Defaults by Colin Wright of exilelifestyle.com. And I'm Justin Malik. Is it set your defaults or set your defaults? I've heard it both ways. English is so confusing, it makes no sense. Anyway, if you're new here, this is the podcast where I read from some of the best personal development and minimalism blogs out there, with author permission, of course. And I have a sponsor for this episode. Yay! This is going to help keep this show alive, so thank you so much to FreshBooks, the cloud accounting company, for sponsoring. If you're a small business owner, freelancer, someone who needs to track time or expenses or invoice people, FreshBooks is for you. I'm using them, and I'll tell you how later. But for now, you can get a month of free, unrestricted use of all their awesome tools by using my link. You don't even need to enter a credit card. You can jump right in. Just visit freshbooks.com/living. And make sure you put Optimal Living Daily in the How Did You Hear About Us section. And if you didn't hear yesterday's post, I'm going to suggest you listen to that one because it's a unique episode and that I actually talk directly with you for most of the episode. I do read a post from Derek Sivers for Sivers Sunday, but it's really short, and the rest of the episode is me talking about this podcast, a little state of the union, if you will, and the reasoning for taking sponsors every once in a while. So it'd be awesome if you could check that out. And now with that, let's jump right into Colin's post for today and start optimizing your life. Set Your Defaults by Colin Wright of exilelifestyle.com. Years ago, I turned off the notifications on my phone. Today, except for rare moments when I'm waiting on a call or have an alarm set so I don't miss a flight, these notifications stay turned off. We don't recognize, I think, how much power we have over the tools we use every day. For many people, over time, these tools come to represent something other than what they are. They cease to be portals into a wider world, connecting us with knowledge and people to which we would otherwise be ignorant. These pocketable supercomputers are no longer thought of as always accessible lines between us and our loved ones, regardless of where we happen to be in the world. Instead, they've come to represent contracts and responsibilities, the exchange of our time for money, our energy for money, or youth for money. Phones and computers and social networks and the internet and all the little bleeping, blooping devices that fill our lives are opportunities. They have the potential to empower, so long as we're willing to see them as amplifiers instead of anchors. Dream expanders, not dream dampeners. The best way to remind ourselves of this and establish a healthy relationship with our technology is to ask ourselves why. Why are we using these little gizmos? What's the purpose of our interactions with them? For some, it's purely mercenary. I have a phone because work might call, a client might call, some other commitment, be it work or relationship related, might call. For others, it started out as magic and became something else entirely. We nearly wept with joy when modern technology became what it is, with the intuitive interfaces and it just works connectivity. For many though, even those who once took pleasure in using these interfaces, in double tapping and finger spreading to zoom in, these tools are no longer marvelous, they simply are. They're convenient things that can entertain us when we might otherwise have to interact with our environments, things that connect us to a wider network, certainly, but a network we fail to make use of beyond what we're forced into. The expected exchange of likes, swiping our judgment of people left or right, sending DMs and pings and emoji-enhanced words to those outside our network, hoping to make a connection, struggling to regain some semblance of that magic we once experienced while plugged into this globe-straddling network of wonders that is now perceived as little more than a public utility. I think it's wonderful that these tools have become, in many societies, so ubiquitous that we can afford to take them for granted. I also think it's remarkable that they become such an integral part of social interactions that it's difficult to draw a line between real-world relationships and those that exist online, in-app, on platform. These tools give us powers, if we choose to acknowledge them as such. But in order to fully benefit from these heightened abilities, we have to lay out guidelines, set limits. Like any good relationship, we have to notice the big picture, take a good long look at ourselves, and be honest about what we need and what we don't want. We have to identify which aspects of this cybernetic future make sense for our goals, for our next steps, and which are just gimmicks that keep us engaged in measurable ways so that some business entity can make more advertising revenue from your attention. In practice, this means identifying how you're currently interacting with technology and working through your options. Chances are your devices have all kinds of notification silencers and app-specific switches you've never flipped. On your phone, on your computer, on your tablet, on your smartwatch. Explore these options. Throw some digital levers. If you're anything like me, you'll find at least one that stops your device from doing that annoying thing you've always felt too busy to figure out how to stop. You can play with other knobs and buttons while you're there to see what options you have that you have never considered before. Change your phone ring, turn it off maybe. Set a time period each day for it to be absolutely silent. The robots haven't taken over yet. Exercise your authority over them while you can. This is also a good time to assess what your gadgets could be doing for you that they aren't currently. Your devices can serve as gatekeepers for your attention if you let them. Figure out which means of communication is the most practical and the least stressful for your day and demeanor, and make that the most ideal option for others to use. I hate receiving phone calls, for instance. One way to keep people from calling you is to set up a voicemail box that makes it clear that you're far more likely to respond to email in a timely fashion. Set your defaults and limits to something ideal, then allow the world to reshape itself around you and your needs rather than the other way around. It's important not to let this sit by the wayside undone. We have all of this power, much of it unused, and many of us are allowing it to eat us alive. We allow these augmented relationships we have with each other, with the world, with the whole of human knowledge, to shape us in ways that leave us rattled and scattered and worried that we'll miss an important notification about whatever. In almost every case, these notifications are not important. They don't warrant the stress we've allotted them. Do this now, or make it a part of a larger plan to reset to 0 if you have to. Either way, make yourself aware of your vast powers, assess which of your needs are not being served, and embrace the full scope of your cybernetic capabilities. Utilize your customization might. There's no reason these tools should be using you. Retake control of your digital life and be a serf no longer to the authoritarian pings that have come to negatively sway your day. You just listened to the post titled Set Your Defaults, or Defaults, by Colin Wright of ExileLifestyle.com. Alright, I'm proud to say that this episode is sponsored by FreshBooks. I registered with them and was able to invoice them in like 30 seconds. In the past, I had an app development company, and I'd seriously get anxiety when someone asked for an invoice. I hated creating them through the system I used, which shall remain nameless. But I tried FreshBooks, and it's seriously so easy and intuitive to make an invoice. And that's just the start. They also have time tracking, which I wish I was using back when I was tracking my time to see how much I was working. Their system is way easier. And I'm almost ashamed to admit this because I consider myself an Excel wizard and love my expense tracking spreadsheet. But seriously, theirs is better. You can log expenses online or with their app and even take pictures of receipts and have them organized for you if you want. And reports are made for you that are really clean, beautiful, and summed up by category. It's awesome. And maybe in another episode, I'll just take one of these features and really show you how it's optimized my life and how it can optimize yours. But for now, if you're an entrepreneur, small business owner, freelancer, anything along those lines, come by and get your free month without even giving them a credit card. Just visit freshbooks.com/living, and in the How Did You Hear About Us box, put Optimal Living Daily. Joining FreshBooks supports them, a great company, who is now supporting me, which helps me support you, a beautiful circle of giving. And now trust me, I understand the implications of having a sponsor of a Minimalist Monday episode. If you don't like that idea, just a couple things. First, it'd be awesome if you can listen to yesterday's episode, because I addressed this there. And second, know that this isn't an everyday thing. It's just a couple episodes a week. And they're doing all of us a huge favor by supporting the show and helping to keep it going. And like I said, I use them myself. I stand by their service. And that's it for today. Stay tuned for tomorrow's show, in which I'll have a book excerpt. It's been a long time. I'm really excited to read to you from a new book. So definitely check that out. And I'll see you there where your optimal life awaits.
Hey, this is Dan from the Optimal Finance Daily podcast, which is a lot like this show, except more focused on personal finance. Justin handpicks the best posts he can find from blogs and authors like Ramit Sethi, Mr. Money Mustache, and more, and I read them to you 5 days a week. So if you enjoy this podcast, come on over and subscribe to Optimal Finance Daily too. And together, we'll optimize your financial life.
You've been listening to Optimal Living Daily. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on each new episode and head to oldpodcast.com. That's OLDpodcast.com for a free gift as well as more actionable tips and resources to help you maximize your potential. Thanks for joining us, and remember, your optimal life awaits.